Hey everyone, this is part two of our discussion on India's first empires. So, yesterday we talked about the Maurya Empire and how it started as a small kingdom and grew into conquering most of the subcontinent of India. So, today we're going to talk about the next empire to come called the Gupta Empire. Now, between empires, there was a 500-year span. And during this time, there was no strong ruler, and India reverted back to small kingdoms. So, several small kingdoms instead of one united empire. And so, this lasted 500 years. And along with the small kingdoms, um, they also went back to fighting one another constantly, and so people were became unhappy with this. And so around 320 AD, Chandragupta I became king of Magadha, which is the northern kingdom of India. So a couple of things. Number one, these two families are not related. So the Maurya family and the Gupta family are unrelated, even though they did become king of the same kingdom. They did become ruler of the same kingdom. They are not related. So this began the Gupta dynasty. Now remember, a dynasty is that power is passed down through the family. The Gupta Empire supported Hinduism, and Hinduism became the official religion of the empire. Remember, under Ashoka and the previous empire, Buddhism prospered and was supported. Well, under the Gupta Empire, they supported Hinduism. It became the official religion of the empire, and the Gupta family and the government gave money to support Hindu scholars and to build Hindu shrines throughout the empire. And so if you look at the map, you will notice that the Gupta Empire is not as large. And was strategically done because the smaller empire was easier to control and to manage. Remember yesterday, the Maurya Empire expanded so big that it became difficult to control and to manage by its end. So let's talk more about the Gupta Empire. So, as we know, in a dynasty, power is passed down through the family. So, down the line, Chandragupta II became ruler, and that was the grandson of Chandragupta I. So we have the grandfather, the father, and now the son in Chandragupta II. And he is considered the greatest ruler of this family. And during his reign, India had a golden age. And a golden age is a period or a time of great accomplishment. So during his reign, not only did Hinduism flourish, but so did art and science and math and trade. So it was a great time of prosperity during Chandragupta II's reign. So let's talk a little bit more detail about it. So let's focus on the arts. And so during his reign, many Hindu temples were built across the empire. Also, there was a focus on art. Most art during this time had religious subjects, so it depicted the Hindu gods, or it depicted some aspect of religion. As you can see, the temple, right? The focus on building temples and making them beautiful is all about Hinduism. All right, they purposefully designed them to be beautiful and graceful. Also, Hinduism, the Vedas, their sacred text, is hymns are composed in it, and hymns are religious music. So a lot of Hinduism, a lot of their ceremonies had to deal with music and dancing. So that was also a large part of this flourishment of the arts during the Gupta Empire. And then also literature flourished during this time period as well. And so the arts really took off during this time, but so did science and medicine. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. All right, so Kalidasa is considered one of the greatest writers of India. Wrote Sanskrit plays and poems. Almost forgot that. All right, so he is one of the most influential writers that came from India, and it was during this golden age of the Gupta Empire. So let's talk about math. So during the Gupta Empire, Indian mathematicians developed a decimal system and a symbol for zero. So this was the first time that a symbol for zero was developed in Asia, in the Eastern Hemisphere, because at the same time, the Maya in Central America developed a symbol for zero, but they had no contact with each other. So this is why it's such a big development. It's the first time in the Eastern Hemisphere that a symbol for zero was developed. Also, they determined the length of a year. They also estimated the value of pi. So let's talk about some advancements in astronomy. So they mapped movements of planets and stars. They understood that the Earth was round and revolved around the sun. There's also some evidence that they figured out the concept of gravity. In medicine, they have one of the oldest systems of medicine. Also, with their medicine developments, their system, we see new tools, new ways of thinking. They figured out how to set bones when they were broken. They had some of the first plastic surgeons. They also had they also promoted health based on exercise and eating correctly. And so they developed medicine as well. So another science is metallurgy. And this is metal technology. So during the Gupta Empire, they developed iron tools and weapons. They perfected that. They also started to use steel tools as well. They also built an iron pillar around 400 AD. It was almost 23 feet tall. It's the same one in the photo. No other person was able to manufacture this tall of an iron pillar for at least another 1,000 years. So it was a great accomplishment. Also, even today, there is no rust on the pillar. So think it's over 1,500 years old, and there's no rust still today. So it just speaks to the development of their metal work during this golden age. And so the last thing I want to talk about is trade. So cotton, salt, and iron were traded. Indian merchants traded with China and with kingdoms in the Southeast Asia and the Mediterranean. Guptas became a very wealthy family because they controlled much of the trade system. Prosperous cities grew along the trade routes, all right, because these trade routes created jobs as well. And the trading also helped to spread Hinduism across Asia and even some into Europe. All right, so that is our discussion on the Gupta Empire. Now you can move on to your next review assignment for today.